It's the start of the year and you're diving into a new lifestyle and way of eating to improve your health. But you've really been just sticking to fruits and vegetables and staying away from grains because you have to be gluten-free. It's making your meals pretty limited though, and to be honest, quite boring. So much so that you may be wondering if your diet will be this restricted for life. After all, you've already cut out the meats, eggs, and dairy products. So what else is left? If this is your challenge, let's address it today. In this episode, I'll give you 3 pro tips about eating gluten-free on a plant-based diet that will help you make a smoother and more enjoyable transition. I'll show you that plant-based eating can be possible and doable even if you have a gluten intolerance. And you won't be stuck with just salads, fresh fruits, and raw vegetables. Ready? Listen in. Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi friend, do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Looking back, I remember how slow and painstaking our family's diet transition was. I had no guidance or support, and it took lots of time learning how to prep and use one plant-based ingredient at a time. I was spending hours on the internet searching for good recipes to make, which were actually healthy and didn't take hours in the kitchen or require a ton of hard-to-get foreign-sounding ingredients. It was actually this experience that led me to create the online Plant Power Life Transformation course. Because I struggled with my transition, I wanted to create something that would truly help others make a smoother transition with clear guidance. A one-stop course that would be time and energy saving and help busy people with health challenges easily master the basics of plant-based eating, all in one place. So if you want to learn how to eat plant-based in a way that will make living a plant-powered lifestyle doable and enjoyable, I invite you to check out the online Plant Power Life Transformation course. This 6-module self-paced course will give you practical strategies, prepping hacks, essential skills, and affordable, tasty, and easy-to-make whole food plant-based recipes using commonly available ingredients. Since this course is self-paced, you'll also be able to learn at your own pace and fit this diet transition into your busy life and schedule. Find out more about this course at plantnourish.com/PPLT course or see the link in the show notes. Now let's talk about being gluten-free and eating plant-based. Recently, I came across this post made by a new member within my community. This lady wrote, "My husband and I just recently decided to switch to a plant-based diet. We aren't trying to lose weight, but I am hoping to lower our cholesterol. I want to make sure that we are getting enough calories and proteins. I am slowly switching us over, and I want to learn as much as I can. I really want to do this right. My main problem is that I am gluten intolerant, and I'm finding that a lot of things have wheat protein in them. I think this will be a big frustration for me." When I read it, I knew there must be others struggling with the same challenge, either within or outside of my community. Other plant-based diet beginners may also be finding eating plant-based and being gluten-free a challenge. There may even be some exploring a plant-based diet lifestyle currently who haven't started yet because they are worried about the gluten issue. That's why I decided to do an episode on this topic as part of the Starter FAQ series. So let's look at this now. I'm going to give you 3 pro tips to help you make a smoother and more enjoyable transition to a gluten-free, plant-powered lifestyle. Here's the first pro tip. Focus on whole plant-based foods. Did you know? Even if you're gluten-free, you can still enjoy a wide variety of nourishing whole plant-based foods if you focus mostly on unprocessed and minimally processed whole plant-based foods. Just in the category of fruits alone, there may be at least 2,000 different types, and there are also many varieties within each fruit type. For example, just in the apple category, it has been said that there are about 7,000 varieties. Imagine that! Besides this, over 1,000 different vegetable species are said to be cultivated around the world. Aside from fruits and vegetables, there are also close to 23,000 species of legumes, which include plant-based foods like kidney beans, fava beans, peanuts, soy, lentils, split peas, and chickpeas. But besides fruits, vegetables, and legumes, there are also many other plant-based foods like certain whole grains, nuts and seeds, mushrooms, and sea vegetables that are all gluten-free. The key, though, is to focus on enjoying these different whole plant-based foods instead of relying on just highly processed commercial vegan products. Because often commercially processed products can contain gluten or wheat protein as part of the ingredients. Though there are now quite a few gluten-free alternatives like gluten-free crackers, gluten-free buns, and loaves of bread sold, these commercial products can be expensive. These products may have also been heavily processed, so have lost many nutrients in the manufacturing process. But if you focus on natural whole plant-based foods, then it is easier to stay gluten-free. So build your meals around fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, tofu, chickpeas, nuts, seeds, mushrooms, and gluten-free whole grains. This way, your plant-based diet does not need to be limited to just a few fruits and vegetables, day in and day out. You have a whole world of natural plant-based foods to explore. Here's pro tip number 2. Explore gluten-free whole grains. Here's some good news. You don't need to cut all whole grains out of your diet when you move to a plant-based diet. There are actually quite a lot of different kinds of gluten-free whole grains you can try and perhaps even learn to enjoy. These include quinoa, buckwheat, brown rice, black rice, wild rice, and amaranth. So be open to exploring and trying some new gluten-free whole grains. In my Plant-Powered Life Transformation course, I talk a lot more about whole grains and gluten-free grains in Module 3. Power up your plate with sustaining whole grains. It's a whole module because there's so much to know about whole grains and they provide so many important nutrients for our body. Now let's look at pro tip number 3. No gluten-free substitutions. Even as you are centering your meals around natural whole plant-based foods, it is still handy to be aware of gluten-free alternatives that you can use in your cooking when making plant-based meals. One area is in the pasta department. Know that there are now gluten-free pasta options made from rice, quinoa, and even legumes like chickpeas, black beans, and red lentils. So these are options to try if you want to find an alternative to white pasta or whole wheat pasta. Another important area to be savvy in are gluten-free condiments and seasonings, as a plant-based or vegan recipe may call for use of certain ingredients which contain gluten. A common example of this is soy sauce, which is typically made using soybeans, wheat, salt, and water. But instead of using soy sauce, you can substitute that in recipes with wheat-free tamari sauce or wheat-free soy sauce instead. Tamari is usually made from soybeans, water, salt, and koji, fermented rice. But you will still need to check the ingredients list on the bottle carefully to make sure no wheat is used in the manufacture of that product. That's because sometimes the product label can be misleading or confusing. For example, Kikkoman's traditionally brewed tamari is manufactured using water, soybeans, salt, wheat, alcohol, and glucose. If you do not want to use wheat-free tamari sauce, then another alternative would be coconut liquid aminos, which is both soy-free and gluten-free. This tastes sweeter than soy sauce though, so that is something to be aware of when using it in recipes originally calling for soy sauce. So today we looked at 3 pro tips you can use to help make your gluten-free plant-based diet journey more nourishing and enjoyable. These pro tips are 1. To focus on whole plant-based foods, 2. To explore gluten-free whole grains, and 3. To know what gluten-free substitutions are available. We only looked at a few gluten-free substitutions in today's episode, but know that there are many more. Now here's an action step you can take. If you're in the midst of your plant-based diet transition and need to be gluten-free, take one of these pro tips shared today and apply it to your meals this week. This could be to try a new gluten-free whole grain like quinoa or buckwheat, or to look for a wheat-free tamari sauce to try in place of soy sauce. And if you're still considering whether to start plant-based eating, I hope this episode encourages you to give it a try. Thank you so much for listening. If this podcast has inspired, encouraged, or helped you in some way to transform your health, I would love to hear about it. Please take 30 seconds to rate and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts to let me know. It will encourage me so much to hear how this podcast has positively impacted and made a difference in your journey towards wellness. And share about this podcast with a friend or loved one so we can all thrive in the best health. Remember, plant-based eating can be easy and doable. See you in the next episode, my friend.